If it's going to happen, you're going to have to eliminate excuses.
So are you fighting procrastination? Are you fighting excuses? Are you fighting low self-esteem? Ladies and gentlemen, get your roots up, get your hands up, and get ready to fight. See, let me tell you something. Trouble can be a bully, but you better learn how to land the first blow. Lesson number one, acknowledge the fight. Who are you fighting? Who is your battle with? Key number two, what is your strategy to win? Are you going for the knockout blow? Or are you going to kill him softly with a couple of jabs? You might be in a situation right now where the doctor said to you that you're not healthy, your body's failing, you might even have cancer. Oh, that's not just a battle. That's going to be a war, ladies and gentlemen. But to win fights, you got to have stamina. You got to be ready to fight and bounce back. Punch and counter punch, jab and jab back. Let me tell you something. Life is a series of fights. The worst thing you can do is run away from your fights. Because if life is a series of fights and you run away, you just ran away from your life.
You've got work to do. You've got a destiny to fulfill. You've got a purpose to walk into. You've got a test to pass. You've got dots to connect, rooms to walk in, stages to stand on, and tables to sit down at. We all want to do something. We all want to be somebody. We all want to go somewhere. And if these things are going to happen, we've got to stop habitually gravitating to excuse.
Your promotion and your next level is about you getting to this war, getting to this battle and winning. Here's the reality. I don't believe in getting bullied. I believe in altercations. And so let me tell you something. Is trouble coming your way, a fight coming your way, and you're running from your fight, you just ran from your life, and you just ran from your future. I've been fighting my whole life, and let me tell you something. We're going to battle, baby, and I want you to do the same thing. Because when you get victory, you'll raise your arms up like the champ. When you come over depression, you raise your arms like a champ. When you overcome bankruptcy, you raise your arms like a champ. When you come over divorce, raise your arms in victory. I love Muhammad Ali because he did it with charisma. I float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Rumble, man, rumble. Let me tell you something. You gotta be ready to fight because your life is all about fight. Here's the reality. Life can be messy, but you gotta clean it up. And you better learn how to fight.
When will you see your purpose bigger than your excuse? I don't know your name, but I know you have a dream. I don't know where you're from or where you're listening to me. You may be listening to me in your closet, your bedroom, the gym, the car, the bus, the train, the plane. I don't know where you're going, but I know you are going somewhere. You've got a destination. People that make excuses are not connected to their destination. They don't have an end game. They don't have a goal. You have allowed yourself to become a weak link covered under the blanket of excuses. But I'm just wondering if there's anybody here that has a dream. And if you've made your excuses bigger than your dream, the time is now to apply pressure. It may not be easy, but it's not impossible. This is not a I feel like it today. This is not a I'm motivated for a week. This is an every single day mentality. You may have to work 3 times. You may have to lose sleep. You may have to go to college and raise 5 children and still maintain your marriage and work your side hustle. I don't know what your story is, but if you will keep a no excuse mentality, then the sky is not your limit. The sky is your starting point. This is an every single day mentality. I never get turned off. And stop comparing yourself to everybody else. We compare ourselves to the way people look. We compare our stories to their stories and our relationship to their relationship. Every single day, the excuses that we make are like a warm blanket pulled over us, covering up the underlining issue of fear, the spirit, the personality of fear. The truth is that the reason why you haven't done it is because you're afraid. Maybe if you could just listen to this a couple times, maybe you'll stop making so many excuses, because the excuse is nothing but a cosmetic. It's makeup. It's a blanket. It's a convenience that we habitually gravitate to because it just makes us feel better. But the underlying issue, the underlying cancer, the inflammation is fear. We're afraid. We're afraid that if we give our best, the best isn't good enough. We're afraid because we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people. We're afraid that we won't be seen. We're afraid that people will change if we evolve. We're afraid that maybe we'll lose our friends if we began to shift our thinking. And the truth of the matter is, how are you so emotionally injured, so mentally drained, so physically fatigued that you have allowed your dream, your destiny to take a back seat to this excuse that you don't have what it takes, that you're not smart enough, that you're not tall enough, that you're not wide enough, that you're not deep enough, that you're not connected enough, that you don't know enough people. You keep comparing yourself to that person and this person. When will the excuses stop? This is an every single day mentality. I never get turned off. Every single day, I want my destiny. I want my dream. When somebody is in love with who they've been called to become, what they've been called to fulfill, what they've been destined to do, there is no day off. There are no light. Listen, I'm not a light switch. You can't turn me off. I can never get turned off. Every single day, I'm giving everything I have. That's how big my dream is. And so there's no excuse, there's no pain, there's no dilemma, there are no speed bumps, there's no distraction that can turn me off. I'm not a light switch. You can't turn me off. I want this thing every single day.
If it's important to you, you're gonna find a way. You won't have to look for a resource. You will become resourceful. It's not always about the accomplishment. It's about the effort. If we can just keep the effort going, the excuses are irrelevant. You gotta be stronger than your excuses. Excuses don't get results. Now we've got to go through the process of being stronger than our excuses. We get one opportunity to come this way. We get one shot. We got one life to live. Life is too short to make excuses.
If you're lazy, there's nothing that can help you. Andrew Carnegie said it best. Tom Watson Sr., the founder of IBM, said it best again. Henry Ford, said it again, and I've said it. If you have to motivate employees, they're not worth having. Nobody ever had to motivate me in my life. And one of my big bosses on Wall Street, who's the godfather to our youngest son, and he hates hearing this. When your dad was 26, 27, 28, we would have to have security drag him out of the office because he'd sleep at his desk for 7 or 8 days. His secretary used to go out and buy new shirts and underwear, and he'd sponge bath in the men's room. Our kids don't like hearing that story, but it happens to be true. Nobody ever had to motivate me. I've never, ever been corrected for making a mistake in my 51 years in business. Never once. I'm always the most prepared in the room. Always, even now. Did you know that Elon Musk doesn't hang? Bill Gates doesn't chill. Yet millennials, that's what they want to do. So if you've surrounded yourself with 4, 5, or 6 people that want to hang, when you're hanging, you're not. Now I know you're supposed to be decompressing, and I understand all that. I don't believe if you have to decompress at the weekend or go on a holiday. Because holidays are really important here. In the UK. Everybody's because they lost the down payment or because of COVID. But if you have to go on a holiday and decompress, you got the wrong job. Or you don't love what you do. I've never, from 1971 to 1997, I didn't take a day off. Not a day off. And I got married on one of those days. Did you know that 21% of all the people that bought Bitcoin in the last 12 months here in the UK don't have a clue what Bitcoin is? Did you know that the average price for an order in 2019 for Bitcoin was 280 pounds, which is about 350 bucks. In 2021, the last 12 months, it's about $100 more. So they're spending $500 or less. How are you going to change your life with $500 investment? Even if Bitcoin went to $1 billion, it's not going to change many lives. Find something you love. Find something you're passionate about. And only surround yourself with other people that are passionate about the same thing. And then if it's work to you, it's not worth pursuing. I don't consider myself working. I consider myself, this is like a hobby. And I haven't had to work in 35 years. A young lady interviewing me that explained to me why millennials buy these stocks that are worth nothing. And she says, basically, we don't have any option, legal option, how to get rich. I used to give a lecture in universities, wealth, risk, reward, not. The system that was devised 70 years ago after World War II, you go to work with a company, you work 30, 40, 45 years, you get a pension, you don't get a gold watch as nice as mine, and you can live in a picket house with 2.4 dogs, 6.4 grandchildren, and hopefully your original wife. Well, that model is dead. That is impossible anymore. And on top of it, you have $150,000 to $250,000 in debt for going to school. Some kids will be 45 years old and still be paying off student debt. Well, that's a load of crap.
You want people with a like mind and that are better than you, smarter than you, more intelligent than you to get on your bus. And don't be so concerned about what you're going to do with those people, but you want to, the joint brain is, there's nothing the joint brain, collective brain, or brains can't overcome. And I give the example of the atomic bomb, the Manhattan Project, and they were put together and they were told, we need to develop a weapon of mass destruction, which they didn't call it that back in those days, in the middle 40s, to end the war in the Pacific. And they did. They didn't know if it was implode or explode, but they did. But if your team doesn't look like that, then you should, I won't say you should give serious thought, you should just change.
Number one, you want to be in a business where there's big margins, big gross margins. Not, for example, retail, forget about it. Restaurants, forget about it. Things that you want big margins. Unfortunately, in my opinion, most internet businesses have big margins. That's why you flock to it. First of all, you want between 20 and 40% gross margin. So even if you mismanage it, you'll come out with a decent net margin. Number two, if you're not first, you have to be different. What I see kids doing is just replicating the same business idea over and over again. How are you different? Well, who's your market? You really understand who your market is. More money than you think being made in green. I'm not a believer that the world's going to end in global warming, but there's little niches. I would look at government contracts because unfortunately the Canadian government, the US government, the British government doesn't have a level of expertise that you have to bid on government contracts. So that means you, young lady, could bid on government contracts in Canada for whatever. There are 3 million contracts daily being let in the Canadian government. There's 10 million contracts daily in the US government. We've had kids that never attended the seminar that have made tens of millions off government contracts. But most kids want it to be handed to them on a platter. Most kids think they go to a 3-day seminar in Montreal that it's going to be the end-all be-all, and they're going to turn that $3,000 or $1,800 into millions. That's just not true.
Follow what you're passionate about, what you love. It's not work if you love what you're doing. Okay. Most people, when I say they're living quiet lives of desperation, is because they're involved in a business or a job that they don't enjoy, they're not passionate about. Okay, so if you found something that you're passionate about, then it doesn't matter if you work 3 hours a day or 13 hours a day. That's where you start. And most people aren't there. Most people have to find that.
Your last name is bigger than your first name. I don't care how you got your name, but you need to be living for your last name. McDonald's is a last name. Abercrombie and Fitch, last names. Armani is a last name. Baskin Robbins is a last name. Chrysler is a last name. Fisher Price, Gucci, Hennessy, Harley Davidson, Hilton, Honda, Kohl's, Kraft Foods, Lowe's Movie Theater, Marriott is a last name. Maybach is a last name. Nordstrom is a last name. Pillsbury is a last name. Porsche is a last name. Procter & Gamble, 2 last names. Rolls Royce, Charles Rolls Henry Royce, last name. Turner Broadcast System, Ted Turner, last name. Versace, last name. Wells Fargo, Henry Wells, William Fargo, last name. Walgreens, last name. Wrigley's, last name. Welch's Grape Juice, last name. Here you are, you think you're buying a product. You are not buying a product, you're buying a name. You think you're wearing a product. Hey, look at this product. No, you're saying, look at this family. And what you don't know is while you making every family rich, you making yourself broke. So you done went to one family called Wells Fargo and got $200,000 so you can go to another family called Rolls Royce so you can give them money to get yourself a car so you can go back to the hood and see the Joneses and say, look at what I got. Meanwhile, Wells Fargo, their family's sitting up being rich, and Harley Davidsons and Rolls Royce are being rich, and the Joneses are sitting there holding up people's stuff saying, look at what we did and we broke. What if I told you that your blessing is attached to your name? That part of the reason why you're not wealthy yet is because you keep trying to make Yolanda wealthy. You keep trying to make Tasha wealthy. What if you made Johnson's wealthy? What if you started thinking about your kids? What if you started thinking about your legacy? What if God started dropping Canaan and opening up windows of heaven? Because now you're not just thinking about you, you're thinking kingdom. Legacy. There's power in your name. A legacy is something that is passed down. It is your mark. It is your footprint in the earth. It is your contribution to the world. Your legacy is something that is passed down. It is your mark. It is your footprint in the earth. It is your contribution to the world. I don't care about legacy. I'm single. I don't care about legacy. I don't have no kids. I don't care about legacy. My family never cared about me. I don't care about them. My life is my own. Why do I need to even think about legacy? Well, here's the thing I have to say to you. The thing you need to know is this. You are leaving a legacy whether you want to or not. Everybody in this room is going to leave a legacy. The question is, are you going to be intentional about the legacy you're leaving? Are you actually going to be intentional, or are you just going to let anything be passed down, anything be given to others on your behalf? Built now, but experienced later. If you are going to leave a legacy, you got to start building now. I'm talking to college students, okay? Don't wait. Oh, when I graduate, in 4 years, I'm just going to live it out. And then when I graduate, I'm going to be free. I'm going to get serious about my life. Can I tell you something? I know 40-year-olds who are living under the consequence of things they did from 18 to 22. And they thought that when they left school, that they left the issue, not realizing that the issue followed them all the way into their adulthood. I'm telling you that right now you are a builder. Right now, you have to start building your life. Now, you got to start building credit. Now, you got to start building your finances. Now, you got to think like a farmer. A farmer thinks sowing. I'm sowing seeds, realizing that I'm not going to reap this until later. There are some people who are attached to you who are saying, Mama, can you do something with this name? There's some people who are saying, Dad, can you do something with this name? Maybe God gave you the name to change and reverse some of the stuff that the name meant one day. I wish there was somebody in this room that say my name might mean one thing right now, but I promise after today, this name get ready to change. I promise after today, everybody's gonna want my last name. I'm here to let you know you are a curse breaker. You are not just getting married, you breaking a curse. You are not just graduating from college, you breaking a curse. You are not just getting out of high school, you breaking a curse. You are not just saved, you breaking a curse. And everybody around you is about to be blessed because of what God's getting ready to do in your life. Some of us lived a life that stunk so bad. And many of you are paying a price for a life that you didn't live, but somebody lived before you, and they handed you down a name or a life that stunk so bad that now you got to pay forever for it. And I'm here to let you know, stop giving people this dirty, nasty, stinky life. Why don't you build a legacy so when somebody gets into the car of your life, they want to say thank you instead of, I can't believe what you did to me. Everybody here has struggled with an addiction that's not yours. It was an addiction that your family didn't deal with. It was an addiction that your father just overlooked. And so it got passed down to you. And now you're struggling with this addiction. But truthfully, if you track the addiction, your father had it, and your grandfather had it, and your great-grandmother had it, and your whole family had it. And because they didn't deal with it, because they weren't thinking legacy, now you're driving in a car that you got to pay for. And God is saying, the buck stops here. That this is it. I put you in the earth because you're about to stop some stuff. You are sitting in this place saying, I don't care about legacy. You need to care about it because somebody's got to live in the life you have. You are passing something down whether you want to or not. And I'm telling you that you are going to have to look at your life and recognize that everything you are doing right now is having major and great impact. You're going to leave a legacy. You're going to have to remember how you started, but focus on how you finished. I don't want you to forget how you started. I don't want you to forget that father wasn't there. I don't want you to forget some of the conditions that you were raised in. I don't want you to forget some of the rejection, some of the pain. No, I want you to remember how you started, but do not for 1 second let it dictate how you're going to finish. There's somebody in this room saying, Pastor, I don't understand. I hear you, but this sermon got me all messed up. I was feeling good. And then you done preached this sermon, and now I'm thinking about the 60 years of my life I've wasted. I'm thinking about the 60 years of hurt I caused. I'm thinking about the 60 years of stuff I did. I got some college student who's sitting here saying, Pastor, I wish I heard this word in my junior year in high school. I wish I heard this word in my sophomore year in high school, because I did some stuff as a sophomore that I'm still paying for now. I did some stuff as a senior that I'm still paying for now. Can I tell you something? Your yesterday may have been jacked up, but God knows how to take the old and make it new. I came to preach to somebody today and let you know your first 60 years was jacked up, but your next 60 days, God says, I will turn it into such impact. I will give it such greatness that you won't even remember some of the stuff that you jacked up.
He's an American businessman, Silicon Valley innovator,
the entrepreneur, philanthropist.
He's the chairman and CEO of DocuSign.
Is Undersecretary of State for Economic Growth, Energy, and the Environment, Keith Krach.
Keith Krach.
Keith J. Krach.
Keith Krach.
I'm a former global CEO, entrepreneur, and engineer myself. I know all too well how challenging and rewarding it can be to build a business from scratch and take it to escape velocity.
You talk about ownership, and I think that's a word that probably connects to a lot of our viewers. But, they'd also be thinking, how do I do that? Like, how did you have the confidence, the ownership to say, I'm ready to go pitch to the board?
Yeah. I think it comes down to, I built a high-performance team as we were getting going, right? And that's the most important job of any CEO. And I really believe that the organization, the company, with the best people wins. And the key is, how do you get them working together as a team, right? The way I believe in that is you've got to have a North Star, a noble cause. You also need an enemy, because, that stops the water cooler talk. Nothing gets the blood stirred. In the United States State Department, we call it an adversary, but in business, we call it an enemy. And then the third thing you need is you need a plan. And with all these companies that I had the good fortune to build and these different organizations, we would always have a playbook. And that's basically the vision, the mission, the values, the team rules, long-term goals, strategy, all boiled down to execution. So it really was a way to maintain alignment and a tremendous tool when it comes to scaling. What I found, one of the things that work is you can't be afraid to be vulnerable. Because when you're vulnerable with somebody, about 95% of the time, they'll reciprocate in kind. And when both sides are vulnerable, that forms a connection. And that is a way that I found all the time. Or also another one is tell me your story. Everybody loves to tell their story. And I'm just naturally a curious person, so I love hearing. So that never bored me. So it's really the power of one-on-one relationships. And, you know, one of the things my dad always said is the key is when the world hands you a sack of sour lemons, the objective of the game is to turn it into lemonade. For your vision, and our vision at Ariba was really simple. We said we want to build a great sustaining company into the 21st century because we had just sold Raza, and we actually kind of wanted to keep it going. They just made us an offer we couldn't refuse. We owed that to the shareholders.
Good problem to have.
Yeah. And then the mission is all about leadership because the object of the game, particularly in Silicon Valley, is to be the category king. Because when you're the category king, you get 80% of the industry resources and 80% of market cap. Players 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they can fight over the scrap. So our mission was to create a category called business-to-business electronic commerce and to be the leader. And then the next thing under that is your values. So, right, integrity's there, courage, high ambition, accountability, respect, the basics. And then we had a set of team rules that kind of personify those values. And by the way, same team rules for all the companies. The first one is direct, open, and honest communication. In a word, the truth. Because I had seen at General Motors, when you go through 15 levels, you know, I started at the lowest of the low, production floor, to the highest of the high, where I was a staff for the board of directors. I could see how that message would change, right? The second one is no idea is a bad idea. And then we added parentheses, unless the CEOs. So, because it's all about making a safe environment. Sure. And you can make it the safe environment when you mock out the CEO. Plus it's fun. The third one is always raise the standard in everything we do, in our people, our processes, and our products. And if somebody can't keep up with that standard, you got to do something about it. Otherwise, you automatically lower your standard. And the fourth one is we're a team first and functional specialist sector. So you developers put your feet in the customer's shoes. You sales guys don't make commitments we can't keep. And then the fifth one is the most powerful one of all. And that is hire the best people, especially if they're better than us. And I'll tell you an inflection point in Ariba. You know, every Friday, up until we probably got to be about 100 people, we'd go around the room in what we call the round table. Anybody could say anything they want on their minds. Ariba, we had 7 founders, right? And so this one guy stands up, VP of marketing, one of the founders, Bobby Lynn, and he goes, you know, this opportunity is way bigger than I ever imagined. Ariba's going to be way more successful than even I can dream of. And he goes, citing team rule number 5, I think we ought to go out and hire a real world-class VP of marketing who's done it before, and I'll focus on partners. And you can just see jaws drop. And the guy who came after him, I'll never forget his guy, his name was Guy Haskins. He was about 24 years old. He just goes, Bobby, I just came from a software company. It is going to go bankrupt any day now. But if one guy would have had the courage to say what you just said right now, we could have taken it to the moon. So from that point on, it became noble to hire the best people, especially better than us. You know, I've had the good fortune of living the American dream. And I feel really, really, really blessed. And so I think that was one of the things my parents, you know, obviously my drive comes from my upbringing. And it's about paying it forward and giving it back. And so if you look at the things, whether it's what I did in higher education or business world or public service, it's all about that next generation. One of the things that I started before I went off into government was called the Global Mentor Network, and it's all about mentoring tomorrow's transformational leaders at scale. So, we created all these videos of these really famous transformational leaders. And so, if you ask me, okay, so what would be your big legacy you want to leave behind? I think back of what my dad would always say about fathering people. You never know if you're a good father until you see your children's children. So I would say, it's all about my mentees. You never know if you're a good leader until you see your mentees, because you teach them how to cascade that down. I've had some great mentors in my life. There's a genealogy out here in Silicon Valley because this stuff's not written in a book, right? So you learn from the previous guy. My mom would always say the best way to learn is OPE, other people's experience. She would always say the best way to learn is from your mistakes. She goes, learn from other people's mistakes. You have time enough to make your own, right?
When you're getting ready in the morning, when you're working, or when you're simply looking to open your mind, download Mindset and listen to your favorite inspirational speeches of all time.
You got a job to do. It's time for you to get it done. Did you not hear what Michael Jordan said? Some people want it to happen. Some people wish it would happen. But the greats, they go out and make it happen. Setbacks won't stop them. Doubt won't stop them. Fear won't stop them. You won't stop them. So many people say they want to be where the money resides. So many people say they want to be where greatness resides. But so many people refuse to do what they need to do on a daily basis. Don't tell me what you gonna do. Tell me you got it done. Don't tell me you want to rise above the pack. Don't tell me you want to be ahead of the rest. When your daily actions are below average at best. See, the late great Nelson Mandela said, it always seems impossible until it's done. So there will be days that you don't feel like getting out of that bed. There will be days that you don't feel like getting started. Let me give you a little piece of advice. Because sometimes you gotta trick yourself and say, self, I'm just gonna do 1 minute. And once that 1 minute turn into 2, and once that 2 minutes turn into 3, and once that 3 minutes turn into 4, and once that 4 minutes turn into 5, and then 5 turns into 10, and then 10 turns into 30, and then 30 minutes turns into an hour. And when you look up, you're hoisting a banner because you won that day. I don't care what you gotta do. If you gotta put your favorite music on, if you gotta toss your hair back in the bun, put yourself in a position to do the work. Put yourself in a position to get the job done. Put yourself in a position to not stop until what you had written down on that list of things to do today is completed and then some. Will you put in the work until you find your yes? Will you put in the work until you find your bless? Will you put in the work until you alleviate all stress, all strife? Will you put in the work until you're living your best life? You got a job to do. Get it done. I love when T.D. Jakes says, don't tell me what you're gonna do. Tell me you got it done. See, the resilient mindset keeps going and going and going. When so many others will quit, I need you to tap into your inner grind hard. I need you to tap into your inner go get it. I need you to tap into your never quit. I need you to tap into your resiliency. I need you to tap into the mindset of getting the job done no matter what. You got to pay the price to live a next level life. It's time for you to get off your hind parts and make it happen. Don't you realize there's millions of lives you can be impacting? but you're only touching a fraction. And that's on a low level. You don't have a story. You're not leaving a legacy. Because you struggle with adversity. You struggle with the setbacks. Don't you get it? The resilient mindset knows that 1,000 no's may come, but it keeps grinding. Tap into your inner grind hard like you want to live. So many people resort to not giving their best, and then they wonder why they have less than the next man or the next woman who made the choice to sacrifice and refuse the advice of those that wanted them to go hang out at the party, those that invited them to the game because they weren't where they wanted to be. And they had a mission, and their vision told them if they put in the work now, that they would come. Well, they could go to any party they wanted to. Matter of fact, they could build a club at their house. They could build a club at their mansion. Get it done now, or die irrelevant, or die broke. If you're not strong enough to say no, when you know you got work to do, and your friends or family approach you to do something that you really have absolutely no time to do, but you do it anyway, that's a setback. And it's going to take you longer to reach your desired destination. See, the mindset of success shuts down the negative vibes and proceeds to grind to win by only aligning with positive tribes. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. It's not going to happen overnight. Success can be a bitter pill to swallow. Success will push you to your limits. It takes time. It's not easy. Life often gets in the way. But no excuses. I need you to still get it done. The late great Jackie Robinson said, this ain't fun, but you watch me. I will get it done. And that's the thought process. That's the mindset you have to subscribe to. If you're trying to achieve any type of success, the greats will tell you about some rough patches. The greats will tell you about some tough days. The greats will tell you about some adversity. The greats will tell you about some setbacks. The greats will tell you about some failures. But the greats will also tell you this. They kept going. They kept going. They kept going. They refused to lose. They refused to quit. They refused to give up. And they lived by the motto, I will win. I will get it done. No excuses. The late great Muhammad Ali said, you don't lose if you get knocked down. You lose if you stay down. There will be days that you don't achieve your desired outcome. And that's what separates the winners from the losers. See, losers give up. Winners give all. The late great Jim Rohn said, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. Where champions reside, where greatness resides, there is absolutely no excuses. This is a great day to win.
If you can start to identify the craving as its own internally released drug, this dopamine, that is its source of motivation, then what you realize is that capturing the reward is wonderful, but attaching dopamine to the reward is actually a little bit dangerous. Attaching. Yeah, this is celebrating the win more than the pursuit, it actually sets you up for failure in the future. And so this gets us right into something called dopamine reward prediction error. Basically, if you expect something to be really great, and then it's not quite that great, your dopamine baseline lowers. And that means that not only did you feel as if you lost because it wasn't as much a celebration as you thought it would be, but it also means that you're starting from a lower place, meaning you are less motivated. So when I say dopamine is the universal currency of everything, what I mean is it's driving the motivation to develop new currencies. Let's say somebody has 100,000 Bitcoins.
Oh my God.
Certainly more than it was a few years ago. The way they can register whether or not they are in a position of wealth or not has everything to do with the number they see on the screen of their Bitcoin wallet. But that number is converted into a chemical signal that has everything to do with how much you had previously. So we could talk about the so-called reward prediction error, how good you feel with an experience has. And dopamine itself is what's driving the human species to create these new technologies. And so while we think of currencies as the goal, it's actually what's really driven the forward evolution of our species has been the desire to go seek things beyond the confines of our skin. And when I say the common currency is dopamine, what I mean is the molecule dopamine, when secreted in the brain, makes us pursue things, build things, create things, makes us want new things that we don't currently already have. If people can do what you do, they're going to be in a much better position in life. Doesn't matter if it's school, sport, relationship, any domain of life. If you can start to register, that craving and that friction and that desire, that gratification, that is that I'm trying to impose my will on the world in a benevolent way, that's dopamine. It's working with its close cousin, which is epinephrine, which is adrenaline. They are very close cousins. In fact, dopamine manufactures adrenaline. A lot of people don't know this, but adrenaline is actually made from the molecule dopamine. Okay, so those two are hanging out together. It's like crave work, craving work, craving work, craving work. And then you get the win. And some people allow the big peak in dopamine to be associated with the win. And smart people learn to adjust their celebration internally, right? This is all internal. You could throw the biggest party in the world, but as long as you're laid back and looking at this, not letting yourself get manic crazy, you won't necessarily crash as hard. And pretty soon, your system will reset, so you take the day, clean up the dishes, you relax, what now, I'm feeling a little low. And rather than going out and spiking your dopamine again, just wait, understand that the scale will reset again.
Can we spike dopamine?
Yeah, so, and you've done this. So your example of craving is actually what you crave. You crave the feeling of craving. It's beautiful because what it means is that you don't allow yourself to go so far down the arc of the dopamine trajectory to get to the other source of motivation. So there are two sources of motivation as it relates to dopamine, and then we're thinking about tools that we could export that are nested in neurology. The first is to do what you do, which is to be able to sense the craving as its own form of pleasure. This has kind of remnants of Carol Dweck's growth mindset that you eventually develop a pleasure in the seeking and the striving. Has flavors of a David Goggins type approach where it seems like he gets pleasure from the friction itself. And so there are elements of that. You seem to have that as well. Anytime you have a bunch of dopamine and you're in pursuit, after you achieve a win, now this could be a business win, a relationship, a win of any kind, but inevitably there's going to be a tipping back of the scale on the pain side. And that pain side is always going to go a little bit higher than the dopamine side. So this is what you would feel if you pursued a goal like building the company. Here comes the big sale. And then there's the, well, what now? You're kind of let down. Now, if you simply wait and stop pursuing dopamine for a short while, the scale starts to reset. The problem is a lot of people immediately roll right into the next pursuit. And then what happens is that scale starts to get stuck on the pain side. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And pretty soon, no amount of seeking will allow you to experience that craving and motivation. It's simply taking stress, which is wired into us in order to make us feel agitated, instead of suppressing us, instead of saying, I'm just going to sit here, I'm overwhelmed, I'm just going to move into action. So there's a circuit for winning. There's the same circuit when it's hypoactive, not active enough, is what causes
losing in these competitive scenarios. And similarly, there's a circuit for quitting. There's a norepinephrine circuit in the brainstem. This was published in the last couple of years, showing that when animals or people are in constant effort, eventually that level of norepinephrine gets so high that it triggers a circuit that shuts down the motor control over the limbs, and you just say, that's it, I give up, I'm done. So these mechanisms were hardwired into us. We all have them. Whether or not it's from evolution, Mother Nature, God, the universe, is irrelevant to the discussion that these circuits exist in everybody. And I think it's a select few people who really understand that forward action is what drives these circuits. It's the ability to take that agitation, stress, agitation, increase our focus, and they bias us for movement. And nature wanted that. They want us to move forward in the face of challenge, not to be quiescent. We weren't sitting around battling tigers and saber-toothed tigers all the time. More likely we were in caves and we were getting hungry and we had to go out and search for things. Agitation and stress were designed to get us up, move us. And when we try and fight that too much, when we try and quiet that stress, that actually can be problematic. You have to decide, are you going to try and quiet stress or are you going to actually lean into action? That's a critical choice point for everybody.
Athletes or academics or anyone, musicians, and they rise and crash, it's clear they've lost the touch with the motivation evoked dopamine. And they've lost touch probably because it hasn't really been described by the neuroscience community until Anna started talking about this stuff publicly, and I'm just kind of echoing what she's beautifully said much better than I am, which is that you should always expect that after a bunch of pleasure, there's going to be that low, and then that craving. How do I get back there again? And the key is you have to walk the staircase. You don't get to do this as a square wave. You don't get to just ascend. It's always up, down, up a little bit higher, down, up. That's the function. But there's always that kind of, today's not as exciting as the previous days. What am I going to do with my life? But then, if you let it start ratcheting up again, then what you realize is your capacity to tap into dopamine as a motivator, not just seeking dopamine reward, that is infinite. And I can say with great certainty that this is how you were able to build a big company and sell it, how you've been able to build a successful podcast and sell it, how you're constantly seeking, because seeking is the reward. And I think for most people, we think of the reward as the finish line. And so the key is to get to the finish line, step into the end zone, but no end zone dance. It's just like, yep, and now I'm going to go do it again.
When you're getting ready in the morning and you're exercising, or when you just need a little boost, download Mindset and listen to your favorite motivational speeches while getting ready for the day.
I'm trying to help somebody right now go to a whole other level. The Bible says the reason why you go back to sleep is because you've always gone back to sleep. It's like a default. You go back to sleep because all you got to do is stop going to sleep, and then you're going to stop going to sleep. All you got to do is stop fussing and cussing, and you're going to stop fussing and cussing. All you got to do is stop spending all the money you got and start saving it. Listen to me. I became #1 in the world. I became a millionaire not because I made more money. I became a millionaire because they told me millionaires only live off of 30% of their income. I want to make it plain for you. I became a millionaire because I did what millionaires did. I stopped living off 100%. I paid my tithe, and then I was like, all right, E, you only got 20% left. Put the rest up. So the first thing I did, listen to me, the very first thing I did to become rich, somebody said, E, to be rich, put 6 months of your earning to the side. So I was like, all right, bet. That's what the rich told me to do. So I put 6 months to the side. How long did it take? I don't remember, but I put it to the side. Then somebody was like, yo, E, you need to put 100,000 to the side. I was like, all right, 100,000. DD, we're gonna put 100,000 to the side. Then somebody was like, yo, you need to get your credit score up to 800. I was like, all right, then get my credit score up to 800.
The reason why you can't blow up, one, you feel a certain way and you timid. Don't be timid. You have nothing to lose. But you got everything to lose if you don't go up and shoot your shot. Look, stop doing that. You see somebody, you see an opportunity, you deserve it. You deserve it. Does that make sense? You deserve the opportunity.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? Some of us don't want to wear a suit, but you're not on that level though. Or you want to wear a suit and act as if your suit
is going to compensate for what you are inferior at. Your suit don't make your language sweet. For real, some of you wear suits because you think like you're gonna impress somebody with a suit, and you might get in the door, but sooner or later they're gonna find out who you are. So I need you to stop having the poverty mindset. The problem with most of you is you don't have a 1% language. You got a poverty language. So I want to help you real quick. You think Warren Buffett reading just to be reading? The majority of you are poor because you read poor stuff. You watch poor stuff. You on Instagram watching fights. Bro, you just scrolling through like you ain't got a life. For real, some of y'all on Instagram, you on there for 30 minutes. If I ask you what you saw, you don't even know. You just scrolling through. That's a poverty mindset. Rich people don't waste time. They realize it's their most important commodity. They don't watch a lot of TV. They don't do a lot of entertainment. If they're not working, they're studying their craft and getting better at their craft. So I went to Oakwood College, and when I went to Oakwood, when you come in, it say enter to learn. When you leave, it said depart to serve. So I was always taught that you're supposed to outserve everybody. You know, like that was the mantra. You enter to learn. Whatever you learn, you go back and you give it. You know, so I learned that at a very early age. And then I also realized when I started doing my work professionally that most people they're lazy, or most people won't work until, you know what I'm saying, until you do something for them. So you go in the mall, my man, you know, he's sitting there with the plate boy. He the only one. Everybody else, try fried rice. A little spoon boy for you. Try some chicken. He's like, bro, I'm good on that. Like, I'm not home. You walk, my man still with you like, bro, get this. I'm like, bro, I just told you I'm good. No. Orange chicken then. Try the orange chicken. I'm like, bro, right? They doing more than everybody in that joint. They hungry. They hungry, bro. A lot of them don't come from this. So when they get here, they take, and so you know what happened? $5.99 for you, $5.99. Bro, you wasn't even trying to eat like that, bro. Like you wasn't even hungry like that, right? And so I realized that they are going to tell you, I'm gonna let you try it first. And here's the deal. Some of y'all, I feel you, but you can't have your own reality. Reality is reality. There's those of you giving out your stuff and people not taking it, that means it's not worth it. So now you just gotta go back to the drawing board and try it again. Does that make sense? Some of y'all be taking it personal. Y'all give y'all stuff away for free. Give it away for free. Like, let people sample it. And then when they eat it, they go, ooh. Don't let your little feelings get hurt. Just ask the question. Was it too salty? Was it too much orange in the orange chicken? You know what I'm saying? Like, holler at me and tell me what happened. And so when we start putting our videos out, people would make comments. Some of the comments I listened to, some I didn't, but some people was like, yo, I'm feeling you, bro, but slow down. Yo, bro, I'm feeling your passion, bro, but can you put the words up? Can you put like step 1, step 2, step 3 for me? Like, for real, it was just like little tweaks, like, yo, E, we feeling the music, bro, but we already listen to hip hop. We want to hear your message. Bring the music down or no music at all. Then we had like 20 cameras going. Folks were like, E, we don't need 6 camera shots, bro. Just 1 is enough. We good. So I didn't take it personal, like, who are you to tell me what to do? I just was like, make the adjustments. And I went from nobody knowing me to being 100 in the world, 20 in the world, 10 in the world, number 1 in the world. So give it out, and if they don't like it, don't be offended. Take it back to the lab. Take it back where? Come on, take it back to the lab and modify it. Give it away free again if they say something. Take it back to the lab, modify it till you get to the point where everybody's like, what up, what up? Rich people don't work, they think. Poor people work. Poor people go, clock in, I make this much an hour. Rich people go, I put them to work, and I make this much an hour. See, what happens is you're working for you and your family 1, they got 40 of you working at one time. So they're giving you 20%, and then they keeping the 80% off of 15,000 people. That's enough to have $22 million. So what you have to decide is, are you gonna keep being the 99% or are you ready to be a part of the 1%? Because it doesn't make a difference where you come from, high school dropout. It doesn't make a difference where you come from, GED. It doesn't make a difference where you come from, sleeping in abandoned buildings. It doesn't make a difference where you come from, a 17-year-old mom that got pregnant. It doesn't make a difference where you come from, south side of Chicago. It doesn't make a difference where you come from, pretty much raised in Detroit. It doesn't make a difference where you come from, took 12 years to get a 4-year degree. It doesn't make a difference. You know what makes a difference? What makes a difference is when you become a 99% or a 1%. When I start thinking like, acting like, and behaving like a 1%.
How do the millennials make money? But without some foundation, my answer doesn't make sense. For some of your listeners, my answer is not going to make sense even with some foundation. But you have to want to make a shit ton of money. The snowflake means you melt under pressure. That's originally what it meant. There was an article in Forbes, I think, a couple years ago. Let's just call it 70% of millennials cry at work once a week. It's pathetic. The chances are you don't know anything about goals. If they are, you know something, they're probably low goals. You've never thought about being a billionaire. You can't become a billionaire unless you think about it. If you're lazy, I mean, there's nothing that can help you. You don't have to come from something. You have to have belief in yourself. And unfortunately, getting back to your millennial question, most of the millennials don't believe in themselves. They act like victims. They have the victim syndrome. And that's unfortunate. It's why programs like yours, with the greatest respect, get a lot of views. Did you realize Gallup did a poll 2 years ago? 87% of the human race is unhappy. 87. Why are they unhappy? Yeah, well, yeah, I can tell you. They don't have what they perceive as what they deserve. But it's not what you deserve in life, it's what you earn in life. If you change 1 billion lives, you'll get wealthy. What you believe in enough to quit your job to try to change 1 billion lives. Most of the kids just want to know if they get paid twice a month. If you had all the money you ever wanted, how would you get up in the morning? What would you do? Andrew Carnegie said it best. Tom Watson Sr., the founder of IBM, said it best again. Henry Ford, said it again, and I've said it. If you have to motivate employees, they're not worth having. Nobody ever had to motivate me in my life. And one of my big bosses on Wall Street, who's the godfather to our youngest son, and he hates hearing this, when your dad was 26, 27, 28, we would have to have security drag him out of the office because he'd sleep at his desk for 7 or 8 days. The secretary used to go out and buy him new shirts and underwear, and he'd sponge bath in the men's room. Our kids don't like hearing that story, but it happens to be true. Nobody ever had to motivate me. I've never, ever been corrected for making a mistake in my 51 years in business. Never once. I'm always the most prepared in the room. And virtually all the other gurus, although I don't consider them in my league, say it's easy and they upsell you. And then they upsell you, then they say it's even easier with this. And it's not easy. It's ball busting. It takes a lot of human sacrifice, but you've got to really want it. I mean, you have to want it more than the air that you breathe. Number one, you want to be in a business where there's big margins, big gross margins. Not, for example, retail, forget about it. Restaurants, forget about it. Things that you want big margins. Unfortunately, in my opinion, most internet businesses have big margins. That's why you flock to it, the net. You see guys like Zuckerberg, multi-billionaire, who allegedly came up with an idea, if you don't believe that he stole it from the Twinklehouse twins. First of all, you want between 20 and 40% gross margin. So even if you mismanage it, you'll come out with a decent net margin. Number two, if you're not first, you have to be different. What I see kids doing is just replicating the same business idea over and over again. So if you're not first, you've got to be different. How are you different? Well, who's your market? Do you really understand who your market is? The best and easiest way to become wealthy, not overnight, but in a short period of time, is to come up with an idea that nobody's come up with. And unfortunately, most ideas have already been explored. You're not going to invent steel. You're not going to invent rubber. You're not going to invent the wheel. You're not going to have, none of these things. Right now, there's more money than you think being made in green. I'm not a believer that the world's going to end because of global warming, but there's little niches. I would look at government contracts because unfortunately, the Canadian government, the U.S. government, the British government doesn't have a level of expertise that you have to bid on government contracts. So that means you, young lady, could bid on government contracts in Canada for whatever. There are 3 million contracts daily being let in the Canadian government. There's 10 million contracts daily in the U.S. government. You just go to canadiangov.co, whatever the initials for Canada are, and you'll see. And so how can I bid, you're asking yourself, when I don't know anything? You go find a joint venture partner. A joint venture partner has no downside taking you on as a joint venture partner, minority partner, if you do all the work and they get the business. And that's how you get your foot in the door. And we've had kids that never attended the seminar that have made tens of millions off government contracts. And I mean, that's, as our daughter used to say when she was 12, that's easy peasy. But most kids want it to be handed to them on a platter. Most kids think they go to a 3-day seminar in Montreal that it's going to be the end-all, be-all, and they're going to turn that $3,000 or $1,800 into millions, and that's just not true. When parents tell their kids, you can be anything you want to be, you can be the president of the United States, that's bullshit. You can be anything you want to be if you've been groomed properly, okay? And that means your parents had to know something about building self-esteem, etc., okay? So when I tell you you can be anything you want to be, I've created billionaires with these two hands, multi-billionaires, from kids. One kid just last year, half-breed, no education, in 7 months, $70 million. And it's not easy. It's ball busting. It takes a lot of human sacrifice, but you've got to really want it. I mean, you have to want it more than the air that you breathe. I want kids to know, and your audience, I came from nothing, but I had self-esteem. You don't have to have money to make money. What you have to have is belief in yourself. Be the best at what you love. Be all you can be.